Welcome to Deck Analysis and Testing. Today we have a look at Earthbound Immortals. Earthbound Immortals are big guys that die without a field spell. It's like a Malefic, but even worse, since the Earthbound students summon themselves from free. It's time for Konami to yet again give us a broken skill. Let's have a look at what they did. This new skill has a restriction and 2 effects. The restriction prevents you from special summoning or normal summoning monsters other than those that are listed. I won't go over them because it's a bit complicated, but basically it doesn't actually it doesn't actually prevent you from using monsters that are listed in the skill. It just prevents you from normal or special summoning other monsters. So you can actually play hand traps like Valor or Lancia, and you can still use the skill with those. You just can't normal or special summon those hand traps, and that will be useful as we have a look at the other effects. The second one is to reveal a level 5 or higher monster from your hand, and then return a card from your hand to your deck, and then add a Earthbound Geoglyph, which is the field spell, and also a level 5 or higher monster from your deck to your hand. And you may be able to notice that it doesn't actually add the monsters that are listed from your skill. It actually adds any level 5 or higher monster, which means it adds Lancia, just like the Borrow skill. Cool. And also you add Fortuners from outside your deck to your deck, so you don't have to play those bricks, and you can guarantee that you don't draw them, which is very good. And the third effect is to, when you have a big Earthbound on your field, you can just make it have its attack increased by 3,000, because your Earthbound, although it looks very big, very menacing, it actually only has 100 attack. And also, the skill doesn't let you actually use the effect of the Earthbound Immortal during turn 1, because the Earthbound Immortal that we're playing, that the skill works with, is a hand rip. So Konami very obviously doesn't want us to hand rip turn 1, so they gave us this restriction, but they also have to give us back the attack, because the part of the effect is to gain attack. So the skill will also give it 3k, which makes it 31 in total. So let's have a look at the Earthbound that we are playing. It is this one, which is the only one that the skill lets us play. And as I said, it is a hand rip by popping stuff from your field. And you won't be using this effect very often, because during turn 1 you can't use it because of your skill. And during turn 2, usually your opponent won't have a lot of cards left in their hand anyway, so this effect isn't very good in that situation. Usually it's just a name, an Earthbound Immortal name that the skill can only let you summon. The other Earthbounds are a lot better, but you know, the skill doesn't let us do that, so we're stuck with this. But it's still not bad either. It can't be targeted for attacks, and it does not let your opponent attack you directly. So it's not like Legendary Fisherman, where if it's on the field and you have no other monsters, your opponent can still hit you directly. It's not like that. If this is the only thing on your field, and you don't have any other monsters, your opponent just cannot attack. So there's that. And also it can attack directly, which is really good, as you can, as you will be able to see that this card, along with the skill and this monster in particular, enables an OTK, regardless of how many life points your opponent has, and how many monsters they have. Next are just a bunch of high-level monsters. We have 3 copies of Oracle of the Sun, because it fits the restrictions of the skill. It's not very good, but we've got to work with what we have. And also this is a free-to-play version, so we're not playing like Lancia, for example. Next is 2 copies of Ascator. This card basically summons the level 3 tuner from your deck, and then you can make a level 8 synchro for free. But you do need to discard a card to actually special summon this card. But it does not use a normal summon, which is very useful because you want to use your normal summon on the Earthbound Immortal. And the same goes for a Supe Duskwalker, which is basically the level 6 synchro version of this. It makes a level 6 synchro instead of a level 8, but it functionally does basically the same thing within the deck, which is to give you a synchro monster without using your normal summon. Next is 3 copies of Earthbound Greater Linewalker, which is level 8, which searches our Earthbound Immortal. This can be added to our hand with our skill, and this is the main way that we're going to add the big Earthbound Immortal, or add it back from your graveyard. And also, this card has the effect that if you normal summon an Earthbound Immortal, you just get to make your opponent's life point 3000. So even if they have life point boost alpha, any sort of life point boost skill, or synchro storm rays, link, whatever those skills are, whatever that gains you life points, you just make that free K, no matter how many life points they have. So that combined with the 3100 attack with the boost from the skill, you can just one-hit kill your opponent no matter how many life points or how many monsters they have, because this thing can attack directly. Next are the back row. We have one copy of Monster Reborn, one copy of the Earthbound Immortal Revival. This card's not very good, but the issue with the field spell, which you can't really see on screen because it's from the skill, the field spell basically searches an Earthbound Immortal spell trap. And you may be able to notice that some of these, like the counter traps that we're playing, Earthbound Wave and whatever this is, it's not actually an quote-unquote Earthbound Immortal spell trap. It is an Earthbound spell trap, sure. This one is an Earthbound spell trap. It is not an Earthbound Immortal spell trap, which means it cannot be searched, which is ridiculous. The only thing we can search is this trap, which is pretty good, or this spell, which is not very good, but we're still playing it anyway, because if we draw the trap, we can search something else. And Reborn is especially good in this deck because the skill also gives you a bunch of free synchros in your graveyard. It gives you both the Sun and the Moon synchro, and those can be special summoned, so they are treated as being able to be properly to be summoned from the graveyard using an effect. So you can just revive them with a Reborn, and you don't have to go through Azkator or Supe to get a synchro on field. And then we have the traps. We're playing 3 copies of Wave, negate spell traps. We're actually playing 3 copies of this card, but for some reason my website just doesn't show all 3 copies, but I am playing 3 copies of the Monster Negate. So if you're wondering what these last 2 cards are, it's the Monster Negate. And 1 copy of Ultimate Earthbound Immortal, which is a searchable counter trap, a continuous trap that pops a monster every turn. It's not very good, but we've gotta work with what we have. For the extra deck, we're just playing a bunch of level 6 and 8 synchros. You can play whatever, actually. Just play the best ones you have. In the expensive version, you will be able to see that we are playing some a lot better synchros than these, but these are just free to obtain level 6 and 8 synchros that you could theoretically play. But the best one are going to be the Sun and Moon Dragons, because those are just free stuff that you can special summon later. In the very unlikely scenario that you don't win after you summon the Earthbound Immortal, you can still make these synchros and set on them, because these float into each other. And the more copies you have in your graveyard, the more you can float, because it's not once per turn. So it's just nice to summon these and just load up the graveyard with more Sun and Moon Dragons so that you have more stuff to summon with their own destruction effects. Now we look at the expensive version, and again, the 2 missing spots are the Monster Negate, which is this one. Again, just for whatever reason, my website is just not loading these 2 cards. It's probably because it's the Duel Links exclusive. It doesn't exist in the TCG or Master Duel. It's an anime card, so maybe that's why. And as you can see, we were playing 1 copy of Lancia, because Lancia is searchable from the skill. And it's an okay hand trap in this format. It's not as good as it once was during back in the agent meta, but it's still good to have 1 copy to search whenever the matchup needs a copy of Lancia. We're playing 3 copies of Azkator, 3 copies of Supe, and the rest is basically the same, but instead of the Spell Trap Negate, we're playing Book of Moon because it's just more flexible and helps you OTK. If your opponent has a monster that has a quick effect, you can just book it and then attack directly and still deal enough for lethal. For the extra deck, again, level 6 and 8 synchros, except these are actually good synchros. We're playing a copy of Scarlet Red Dragon, Cyber Slash, Riona, Coral Dragon, Charge Warrior, Archfiend's Call, and then 1 copy of the Sun and Moon Dragons. Just if we need them as like extra beaters or when we want to stall and want to use their floating effects. Okay, let's have a look at the replays. Before I get into the replays, I want to just talk about this deck. It's not very good. It's not very good. You can see from the competitive stat in the deck list at the very beginning of the video, it's not very good. The main problem is that you spend way too much on a very fragile board that doesn't have a lot of protection, and if your board gets wiped, you just lose because this deck is not very good at follow-up. But regardless, we can still see what we can do. This deck is okay going first, also okay going second, depending on the non-engine that you play. This deck can set up a pretty okay turn 1 board and can OTK, regardless of how many life points your opponent has or how many monsters they have. But you will have to use your non-engine slots accordingly, depending on if you want to go first or if you want to be better going second. In the free-to-play version, we're playing a bunch of counter traps, so we are aiming to go first. We can negate our opponent's MST as they attempt to pop our continuous trap. And we now just have a really big guy and another really big guy, but our opponent has a bigger guy than our slightly smaller big guy. That's fine. We can just pop our opponent's monster, and since they don't have a quick effect, we can just punch them for lethal, I guess. And also you might be able to notice in the deck stat, I don't think this deck is very fun either. And the biggest reason why is because this deck is so linear. Just one thing that this deck does, and you do it when you go first, you do it when you go second. And you always do the exact same thing because the skill searches what you don't have. And the exact thing is summon either the level Ascator or Supe Duskwalker, make a synchro, level 6 or level 8, doesn't really matter too much. And then you search a spell trap, and then you summon Greater Linewalker, you grab the Earthbound Immortal, you summon the Earthbound Immortal by tributing the synchro, which can be used as 2 tributes under the field spell. And then you make your opponent's life points 3000, set 2, and that's it. That's exactly what you do every single game. There's no variation, and you lose if your board gets cracked. Our opponent is going to normal summon Alistair, we're going to negate that with our monster negate. And, well, cool game. I really don't know what... Okay, in our final game where we use our expensive version, let's have a look at what, you know, an actual competent deck would do against our strategy, and what happens if our opponent breaks our board, which is, spoiler alert, we lose, basically. And the problem with the level 5s that we were playing is that they need a discard, so if you have no cards left in your hand, if you just do your turn 1 combo, just normally, you usually have no cards left in your hand, so no matter what you top deck, you won't be getting out of this situation. And you will be able to see that issue later on in this game. We're gonna do the exact same combo, also set to, one of them is a pop and the other one is just any back row that we happen to draw. We drew the monster negate so we can negate the live twin, hoping that ends their turn. It does not. They have all the extension in the world. They have the secret password to grab the quick play, to grab Leela, summon Frost, and because I saw them summon Frost, I assumed that they're only playing 1 copy, so I can just pop it. They have another copy, so I guess we're dead. He also has Econ, which steals our Earthbound Immortal, which by the way has 0 protection. This guy has no protection. The only thing it does is your opponent cannot attack it. But it is vulnerable to any effect. It's only the field spell that has protection, but the actual Earthbound has 0 protection. So yeah, you just steal it, and yeah, that's the end of the game. Yeah, yeah.